November the 14th, 2018. Guys, you're looking at the GQ Electronics radiation map. I'm focused in on the LA area right now. Now, down at Terminal Island, this particular meter just jumped from 99 to 100 back to 63 counts per minute. And many of you have the GQ Electronics. You can see it changing from 51. But as I was setting up the recording, it went from 99 to 100, back down to 60, down to 51. Over in the right section of this we're talking about radiation here, guys. It kind of gives you a count. 0 to 50 counts per minute is okay. They're saying 50 to 100, you kind of got to pay a little more attention, and then it gets into yellow and red at 100 counts. And so this 100 count, 99 count, anything really above 50, you need to pay attention to, because if you inhale this, it can have lifetime consequences. Now, why would it be so high here? Again, it just went, as I came over here, 99, 100, back down. Guys, there's been, of course, the major fires there. And did you know that one of the worst nuclear polluted areas burned over, and you're getting that orange glow in the sunset? Now, one of the reasons that meter may be fluctuating, guys, is because during the first few days of the fire, remember, everything was blowing out to sea and that wind was changing. And that will affect your meter because the wind is going to carry radioactive particles. But they're saying, Zero Hedge this morning, Southern California fire may have ejected incredibly dangerous radioactive particles into the atmosphere. Remember, they're already talking about the chemicals and the effects of chemtrailing and how that can add to the flashpoint of these fires. But they're saying 95,000-acre Woolsey fire, which has coated Southern California with an apocalyptic orange glow, may have released a toxic stew of radioactive particles and toxic chemicals into the air after scorching the land on closed-down government weapons testing facility in Simi Hills, known to be heavily contaminated from decades of experiments. Commencing Operation 1947 for Rockwell's Rocketdyne Division, a government contractor for the Atomic Energy Commission, AEC, the Santa Susana Field Lab has a checkered safety record, to put it lightly. In addition to several nuclear accidents, including the worst nuclear meltdown in U.S. history, toxic materials have accumulated on site from years of dumping just miles from thousands of residents. Now, guys, you need to look at your governor. You need to look at who's in charge of this overall, because he's ignoring major problems in your state. If you look at this map, you've got LA here, Santa Monica, Thousand Oaks here, Simi Valley. In between this area is the Santa Susana Field. Right in the middle of Los Angeles County, guys, is heavily populated, big time. Now, they're saying that the fire had burned through this area by 5:46 p.m. Friday. Today is Wednesday morning, so 5 days of this particles in the air. Hopefully, they will continue to blow outward. But, guys, during that period of time, and you saw that meter fluctuating, you can be exposed. Let's put it that way. And if you inhale these particles, you can have, again, lifetime problems with it. They should have talked about this more. Remember how they tried to suppress our videos when we were talking about the gas leaks and stuff in the area? But now they need to point this out, especially people like CBS LA, all the major folks there. But I'm sure they've been told by government officials in that area to keep this down, keep the information down. Guys, it's important for you to know this. I mean, you would move your family or keep your family in a radiation zone that can every year go through this. And right now, millions of people could be contaminated. And they're saying, guys, in one of the reports I read 2 days ago, that as the wind shifts, this ash could reach all the way to the east coast of the United States. If that reaches it, the radioactive particles will also reach it. But it's, again, a stew of different chemicals, radioactive, in anything you can think of when it comes to ammunition. Now, This is a footnote to the article. It was the site of several nuclear accidents, including the worst nuclear meltdown in U.S. history when in 1959, facility operators intentionally vented nuclear material from the site's sodium reactor experiment to prevent it from overheating and exploding. By the time the leaks were closed, the site had released 459 times more radiation than was leaked during the better-known 1979 meltdown at 3 Mile Island. The lab property, now owned by airplane manufacturing Boeing, stretches for 2,800 acres in the Simi Hills and remains contaminated with toxic materials. Thousands of people live within 2 miles of the site, and roughly 500,000 live within 10 miles. California officials with the state's Department of Toxic Substance Control said that as of Friday, November 9th, an area of the SSFL site, which was scorched by the Woolsey fire, posed no danger, stating our scientists and toxicologists have reviewed information about the fire's location and do not believe the fires caused any release of hazardous materials that would pose a risk to people exposed to the smoke. A group of concerned physicians begged to differ. So do I. According to Robert Dodge, a physician and president of Physicians for Social Responsibility Los Angeles, he said highly toxic materials embedded in the SSFL soil and vegetation may have spewed into the air by the Woolsey fire. We know that what substances are on the site and how hazardous they are. We're talking about incredibly dangerous radionuclides, toxic chemicals such as trichloroethylene, perchlorate, dioxins, and heavy metals, said Dodge, adding these toxic materials in the soil and vegetation when it burns and becomes airborne in smoke and ash. There's real possibility of heightened exposure for area residents. But remember, all the way to the East Coast possibly. Now let's look at an infrared image because it has a two-sided story on it. This is this compound. What you're looking at in the bottom are burn scars here, here, and here, the darker areas. Being infrared, dense vegetation are in the red images. That's what you're seeing. They're saying, and what the news is reporting, that they lost no structures, which is right. That land was cleared and protected. But the chemicals and the leaks and all were in all of this area, guys. They would not be talking about it. Also, we would not be seeing the elevated radiation on levels on the meters. And if you look at this map, this shows an extent of radiological and chemical constituents above AOC. Look, and it's got the lookup tables here, and you can see NASA's involved in it. But all of these areas, again, this area did not burn because it had been cleared out. The buildings were protected, but their area, it continues all the way through what they call Area 2, Area 3, and all the way into the corner of the above map we just watched. All of this is part of the experiments and the storage. And you can see from this image, you've got all the particles being blown offshore. Now, there's a big loop being tied together between this fire blowing offshore as of this was Friday, and the fire up in Northern California near San Francisco. Now, backing out on this satellite imagery, you can see how the Woolsey fire and the Hill fire is moved out to sea. They're caught up in the same current that's pushing the San Francisco Paradise Campfire area, guys, out to sea. But it's one big loop as it's turning. That's going to move over the entire U.S. according to projections on how the winds are going to change. Now, the fires, both of them, North and South California, burn very rapidly, and I think that's where you get people talking about dense undergrowth, you get people talking about the chemicals involved in chemtrailing. But it was a very hot fire, guys. Over 40-something people have died. There are a lot of other people missing. I saw one video where an entire neighborhood, guys, it was kind of a rural neighborhood. It wasn't real dense, but it was country homes, and that were trying to get out. And most of those folks had died inside their cars. That's how fast and how hot this fire was. There was incredible distribution of this fire, just to say it mildly. let's go back to the doctor's report a minute. It says Dodge's group has also criticized the California Department of Toxic Substances Control, pointing out that the state-run agency is currently under a state-mandated independent review to investigate its handling of the toxic cleanups. According to a draft environmental statement from the Energy Department, Santa Susana Field Laboratory and its adjoining northern buffer zone has never been fully cleaned up. And guys, that northern buffer zone also had fire in it. 1998 article of Los Angeles Magazine details horrific cancers and other conditions which have afflicted those living near and working at the site. Children growing up near the site swam and fished in streams and played in the dry wash. And one day Garner rode his red J.C. Higgins bike he got for Christmas through the effluent flowing from the lab. Think about this. Garner, now 44, lives in Simi Valley, an iron worker. He's done contract jobs at the lab for over the years. In October 1996, he was diagnosed with lymphoma. His wife, Leslie, had her uterus removed because of cervical cancers. His father, like Garner, an iron worker employed occasionally at the lab, had skin cancer and heart problems and is near death. His sister, Vicky, 46, has heart, thyroid problems. Guys, I'm reading this in case it rings a bell. On one side are a single block of Romero Avenue in Woodland Hills, 5 miles from the plant. Cancer has been diagnosed in 9 out of the 10 homes. This is Los Angeles Magazine. Now, in the time it's taken to do the video, we're seeing this same meter reading rise to 76 counts per minute. That's well above normal, guys, well above normal. Now, guys, if you want to keep an eye on this radiation map in that area, and really it covers the whole U.S. I had just focused in on that. Come over to our new website, bpheadlinenews.com. All the links are there. Also, they're still at bpearthwatch.com. But at Headline News, it's newer software. It's a different hosting platform, just in case. And it has the software is very good about letting me make instant changes in the news. And Tina puts up new videos very easily, quickly. It allowed us to add a chat room that you see here. But if you want to go and check out the map, and what I'm referring to is the radiation map we just saw. One of our sponsors here, which is GQ Electronics, we worked with them for years. We have the EMF meters, but we also have their radiation meters. But that is their map. You can click on the link here, and it's going to take you to their first page, and that is the meters that we use. They start in with the GMC 320. It is a Geiger counter radiation meter. Nobody in the industry, guys, touches their $95 price in the U.S. It's $128 in Canada. Europe, it's a little higher. You got shipping involved. But these guys are over in Washington State. I think they've got a new office up now. Shipping is very fast. If you want one, check them out, guys. They come with a rechargeable battery. You just plug them in like your phone to your computer or whatever. The other meters you're seeing are their newer GM600. And down here, guys, is the EMF meter that we use, called the EMF 380. That measures smart meter radiation, cell phone radiation. And, guys, it's incredibly strong now. I've got videos. Well, let me say this. I had videos up that YouTube took down, and I will redo some of those that show you the exposure you're dealing with. But as far as the radiation, right here, this 320, nobody touches it. And if you look through their site and click on the home page, it will take you here. It says enter store, enter new store, support forum, but right at the bottom, Geiger counter world map. And what this is with their meters, if you choose to, you can plug in to your internet, and you will be listed on that map. There's a couple things you got to do, but that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on across the nation. But it's that simple. Just come here, click on the meter thing, come to the Geiger counter world map right here. We'll do it again just to check it before I end the video. Now we're looking at 54 counts per minute. That's just above normal. Now, you don't want to have that kind of exposure for very long a period of time. But you can see how much difference it is around it. And we do have that offshore wind. Could the meter down at Terminal Island be up high at a higher elevation? I don't know the specifics on it. You can see they just changed. It went to 61. But this will actually cover the entire U.S. It will populate as you pull it back and give you ideas. A lot of these people are you guys that have bought meters from us, supported our site over the last 3 or 4 years, and you can see where there's elevated meter readings. You're going to find that around Hanford. You're going to find it around different nuclear sites. You can see in Indianapolis. This is an unreal reading. I don't know if the meter is off the charts or you got a major problem, but it's saying 460 in the count. Look down here, over 200. This is extreme. Sometimes you can have a false reading. Peoria, Illinois. But guys, there are nuclear plants, nuclear problems all across this nation. I'm going to keep an eye on these counts myself. We'll update it in videos. We're also watching the attempted theft of the 2018 midterm elections across the nation by the Democrats. It's not going to work out well. It will be a test to me of how the promise of the Republicans about certain things. We got the caravans. We have the election theft. Something's got to be done. It's got to be done very quickly. Or I can say this to you Republicans. There's going to be a lot of doubt cast on your true intentions, and that will reflect in 2020. It's a heads up. Be safe.